Good evening, sir.
Hey, good evening, folks.
Yes, sir. Can we wait for a few more seconds so that the participants can join, sir?
Oh, sure. I'll just put my phone
Yes,
on mute.
1 minute. We'll go. Yeah. Can we start the session, sir? Gupta, sir?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. This is Srushti Javakar, working as a research associate in the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication under ICSSR project. I extend a warm welcome to all for the last technical session of 5-day national workshop on artificial intelligence and media organized by Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Karnataka State Akka Mahadevi Women's University, Vijaypura, under Curie AI project DST New Delhi. Today, we are honored to have with us two eminent personalities, Shri Gyan Gupta and Dr. Sara Chinnaswamy. I wholeheartedly welcome you both, sir.
Thank you.
I welcome Organizing Secretary Professor Omkar Kakade, DST Curie Coordinator Professor Aziz Makandar, Workshop Coordinator Dr. Tahmina Kolar, and all the faculties, media personnel, students, participants on Google Meet, and people who are taking part in this event through watching live streaming on Akka TV YouTube channel. I find immense pleasure in introducing our first resource person, Shri Gyan Gupta. Gyan Gupta is the founder and CEO of Chamko, a micro-influencer platform of Noida, Uttar Pradesh. He is an industry expert with over 22 plus years of experience in creating, growing, and managing businesses. As an industry leader, he is well connected at CXO level with all the agencies and top clients and the top publishers. He is also co-chair of AIMAI AI Big Data Committee for Making Artificial Intelligence Mainstream. Also the COO for DNPA, the Digital News Publishers Association. He founded a short form video app, First Wall, a talent video app on strong AI and my deep understanding of the language users. As a CEO of Dainik Bhaskara Digital for last 10 plus years and established the digital business of DB Corps in terms of revenues and users. Though he is an engineer by education with deep understanding of the technology and equally strong understanding of the content, he was expert at artificial intelligence and machine learning. Created one of the world's best recommendation engine. He also established a few businesses verticals at Genpact in web and content space. He is a winner of 9 international awards and an active international speaker on AI. Now, I would now take the opportunity to invite Sri Gyanagupta to share his views on artificial intelligence in social media. So before we start the session, sir, I have an announcement for the audience. I request all the participants to please mute their microphone, and the first session will be going to end sharp at 6 p.m. So I request all the participants to please do cooperate. Over to you, sir.
All right, thanks a lot, and glad to be here. And any of one of you who can switch on the videos, that'll be great. It just makes it more personal, rather. All those we got used to this virtual thing, but
Yeah.
I mean, anyone of you can do that. Their choice. Uh, so yes, and I think we'll keep it more flowing. And in case if you have any questions, if you have any concern, any input or comment, feel free to put on the comment box on the side, or break, and I will probably cover it. The best would be if you can just put in the comment box, or in the chat box, so that I'll be actively looking at the chat box. So anything that you say there, I would use that to kind of change the flow of the conversation that we are handling. All right, and before I start, do feel free to help me understand your expectations. What do you think should I get covered in this session? Feel free to put your comments out there. I'll start with my thoughts, and then I will try to incorporate that point. And I'm not sure how well versed you are, but today I believe AI is in our you know is like a part of us. It is called artificial intelligence, uh, but it is actually, the decision making capability is way higher than currently we may have of us, and we are constantly training machines to create decisions for us. And why would we do that? uh, Machines takes a really long time to do simple things that you would do instantly, like suggesting a restaurant, or suggesting who should you be friends with. But what AI does is that they can make billions of decisions in a fraction of a second. That's the compute power of AI, and that's exactly why AI is a front runner in in the content. I mean, today the entire content landscape has changed, right? We started with text, it became pictures, then videos and voice. Now four V's are actually governing the entire content landscape. The first V is being the visuals, which is the pictures. Second V is the voice. Third V is the video, and fourth is the vernacular. I think these four V's are actually changing anything and everything under the content landscape, and anything and everything that gets changed in this content landscape is under these four V's. Now, what has happened in the last couple of years? We have moved away from intent-led toward discovery-led systems. You guys understand the difference between intent and discovery-led? Yes, no? Anyone? Anyone?
Yes, sir. I know a kind of little bit. Like discovery is a kind of thing which is already there, exist, and you let the world to know about it more. And invention is kind of thing which is completely new to the world. I'm not sure, sir, whether I'm
Okay.
completely right or not.
So I think the intent led and discovery led. Intent is when you look for information. When you go to Google and say that tell me the breaking news, you are letting your intent out there that I want to know breaking news near me, or whatever. I will look
Okay.
at that. Discovery is when I will start throwing things at you in the hope that you would start consuming them, like Facebook, like Instagram. They are
Okay.
they are discovery led. See, you actually don't enter into Facebook You don't know what you're looking for. You just enter there and then you see, oh, some friend pictures, oh, someone's having a birthday and someone is doing this, and then all the content that you see. Or Instagram. You just go into Instagram and you just don't even know what you'll find out there until the content starts coming in. And then they start recording what you are consuming. They're collecting the data about what you're consuming, where you spend more time, videos, how many videos you watched fully, how many videos you exited in the middle, uh, videos you started but didn't complete.
Okay.
And the latest example of a TikTok. I know while TikTok is banned in India, but TikTok has one of the best recommendation technologies, personalization technologies, and they have a huge machinery that kind of churns out thousands of data points to recommend what should be shown to you. Now, why is this important, and how is this related to this entire news industry in India? Dipenta, I got your question, and I will cover that. But let's first understand that why this behavior is important. Because that will give you a basis of the role that AI plays in the news industry in India. Intent is very specific what you look for. But the news was never intent-led. News was discovery-led. You expected newspaper to tell you what you should know. Today, I don't know. I mean, do you guys even read newspapers these days or no? How many of you read newspapers? I mean, show of hands, yes, no. Okay. I think you guys are too busy, but yes, I show one hand. Yes. So I mean, guys, it will really help me if a little more participative. It will really help me structure the discussions. So newspaper was very discovery led, because you never know what you'll expect in the newspaper. You expected newspapers to know what should show you with a certain degree of responsibility, and you pick up the newspaper and you read it. Okay. When you go to any OTT platform, it is intent-led. You go there, you find out what you want to watch. But these days, a lot of OTTs started recommending programs for you, so which is making to the discovery-led. Now, what is important is when it is discovery-led, I think the precision depends upon how do I make it more sticky. Newspaper you read because you think I need to know. But for a lot of other platforms, for a lot of other social platforms, they have a huge issue of saying, how do I make the user stick to my platform? Why would someone stick with me? Why would you spend so much of time on Facebook or Instagram or any of those apps, unless you keep on getting things that you're liking? I mean, and after some time you realize that, yeah, actually this was actually nothing sensible, but you still spend 15, 20, 30 minutes in watching that out, because they're just capturing your attention so closely, and they're recommending things so effectively that you, from one video to the other, to the other, to the other, you keep spending time on it. Now, the AI in the news industry, they typically can be broken into four main parts. The first, AI is used in the creation of the content. Second, in curation, then in dissemination, and also in the dissemination. So let's talk about it. How these things are governed, or how these things are played out. Now, in creation, we have bots who can actually create news, who can write news articles for you. During time of Olympics, or when you have to write very short fact-based stories, you really don't need a person to write it out. And when you want to declare a breaking news, someone won a gold medal at this game, and you want to be the first out. So the engine can keep throwing out stories, which are just fact-based, nothing descriptive, nothing no analysis, but they can actually start doing all those things. So that's that they use in the creation. AI can also be used a lot to see data trends. What trend you are seeing? What how can you correlate the data pieces? How effective is your entire search engine and mechanism through which you are creating the entire stories? For example, when you are, let's say, when there's a video. Now that video is about, let's say, um, Donald Trump and Narendra Modi and three other European leaders. Now, when you tag that video as Modi and Trump, and that video might come up in that stuff, but their role is, let's say, even for 5 seconds, but the video gets tagged. So now AI is being used to determine what is the length of that person in that video, so that when you are searching, or when you are even the creating of the content, you can actually look at the right content, and it pinpoints to that specific location. Have you seen, today, if you go to a Google search and type something, it will take you to a YouTube video, and it will make you pinpoint at that exact location where you will find that content. It doesn't play the video from the start. Have you noticed that? How many of you noticed that when you search for a video on Google, especially a YouTube video? So that will allow it, because it detects that this person is at 3 minutes 13 seconds. So you don't really have to go through all the the earlier part of the video to get to that point. So that's another use of AI in creation of the content. That's one part. The whole impact of an AI is how can you effectively increase your creation capability and create more impact. So from writing text to detecting that content is important. Now imagine the same thing. How are social media using this entire creation? Social media is all driven by by discovery. They are not intent. Content recommendation is, so when you go to, so in the social media, they're not creating. They say that they are a platform, and they have like tons and tons and tons of content. Now, what content will they show you which you would like is the only role of recommendation engine. That's the only role it plays. And it's a self-learning algorithm, which means that if I show you 5 things, and out of the 5 you pick one, next time I will show you something more closer to that 5, because I know what you're liking, and I'm picking your intent. I'm picking in, and there are multiple factors, like your device, your time of the day, your location. So maybe when you are at home in the night, you are something else than in the morning when you are somewhere else. The people you like, the kind of content you like, and they go down to as many details as you want, capturing up to 8,000 to 9,000 different data points is captured, and then that is calculated on real time to show you what kind of content is being what kind of content is shown to you. And if you don't like that content, which means that if you skip through it, so how do they know whether you like that content or not? If you skip something very quickly, they count as like a fail. And if you stay onto that content, and the length of the time you stay on the content, that's like a pass. So that's how the entire recommendation is driven. And they start creating your persona. They start creating your personality, what kind of a person you are. Because you declare so many information around that by telling what kind of a content you are consuming. And they start creating, okay, if I will show you this kind of content in the morning, they detect your device type, they detect your location, your gender. I mean, there's so many things you can deduce from what kind of content you're watching. So if you're looking for baby stuff, maybe you're on a way to pregnancy. Maybe you're maybe looking for relationship advice. Maybe you're a different part of the career. So I think there are a lot of different things that deduce from there, but it is all driven by discovery. They keep throwing things at you, and what you catch is basis that they create your persona, and basis that they start recommending things and recommending stuff. So the creation process in social media is actually telling you or showing to you what kind of content would you actually like, and those algorithms are constantly being tweaked. They are constantly tweaking that algorithm to make it more and more addictive to you. Now, that has a very, that while recommendation is great, but it has a huge downside to that, and what everyone has been talking about globally. It creates those pocket of biasness. So if I keep showing you one kind of content, if I keep showing you one kind of content, my ability to bias you is very, very high. So if I keep showing you, for example, what happened in the Trump election, right? If I keep showing things at you, and why the social media, there's so much of hue and cry growing globally about social media and how much control they have. Why do you think they have a control? Anyone? Why do you think those tech giants, the Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg and Google and they've become so bigger than life? Imagine my ability to target you with one specific type of content. So if I have to tell you, for example, that chocolate is bad for your health, today you go to a newspaper and you'll read content. But imagine if I tell you that chocolate is bad for your health. And I'm taking a very neutral example. I'm not getting into a political, controversy. Simply like chocolate is bad for health. If I start targeting content pieces that keep on talking about how chocolate is bad, something happened to someone, 1, 2, 3, 4, over a period of 2, 3, 4 months, I can actually convince you that chocolate is bad for your health, just by showing you those content pieces. And that ability to target is what these platforms have, because they have so much of information about you. I exactly know what you feel about chocolates, about India, about US, about any political figure, about any movies, and I can convert your opinion. Okay? And that's the downside. You can get played by the recommendation, because you get used to consuming things without thinking, consuming things that are just thrown at you, consuming things that are just given to you. Let us stop thinking, is it right? I mean, how many times do we verify the content that's coming to us? We don't even verify. So this entire part of creation, gathers a very large momentum. And my ability to target, that's what AI does. The recommendation changes I can change your perception about things. And that's the whole debate about social media platforms kind of, creating violence, creating hatred, and there's so much of debate globally that you should control the hatred, and they have no way to control it right now. So that's like an ongoing debate without getting into that. So that's about using AI for creation. Then the second piece is about curation. What kind of content you are curating? What kind of content you are, what's the bank of the content? Now, media companies at different scales can use AI for the content curation, which means that suppose if you're writing an article, and I can actually recommend these are the relevant articles for you that you can refer to at. Your job gets a lot easier as a journalist, as a journalism, rather than imagine you trying to find from 15,000 pieces of content. If you're writing about pollution, and if I can actually tell you out of those 15,000, what is those five pieces which are more relevant to you. So that will allow you to create a better story, a more enriching story, a more effective story quickly. Of course, you have to verify all those content pieces, and whether they're verified or not, that's for you to do, because for a long time people thought that Wikipedia is verified. It's just like a typical UGC platform. So the AI plays a larger role in terms of, helping you getting that entire content curated, easing your process of content curation, and even actually deciphering clips from it to make a movie. Making of a trailer, I don't know how many of you know that making of a trailer from a movie is one of the most tedious job. Picking out the right pieces of video from a movie, from the movie, to create a trailer. Now AI can actually create one of the most best trailers and yet have a storyline. That's how far AI have come in terms of it. Any thoughts so far, guys? Um, any input, guys? Okay. So the Praful, when you talk about sponsored content, now I actually know your personality. Like I said, the medias that they've created your personas on social media. Now, a lot of users actually don't really care whether this is sponsored or not sponsored. If it is interesting, they will watch it. And advertising is moving away from ads to content, as you know that. So when they know their what kind of content you would like or what kind of content you will consume, I can actually start pushing that content. A part of that content can be organic, a part of that content can be paid. And paid is what we call like a sponsored content. Now someone is paying me for that content, and you know I say I need to reach out to the pregnant woman, first time mother living in Noida, and I'll start showing things about how should you take care of your baby, how should you start taking, and this entire piece, my latest venture about influencer marketing is around content, because the content is becoming so powerful. You can tell stories with content that people don't buy in ads. People have stopped believing in advertising. Do you know that? Like if Alia Bhatt goes and says that, oh, I like Lux is good for my skin. Everyone believes that, she's not using Lux. Or when Shah Rukh Khan says that Big Basket is good, no one said. People have stopped believing those biggest celebrities. They get the attention, they stop believing them, because they know that Shah Rukh Khan will not use Big Basket. And that's when those real people start making sense. Those people that we call influencer on social media, they look like real people. They look like a girl next door or a boy next door, and they start talking about it, and they start creating content. And I will say, okay, fine, Gyan, you have a great fan following, and this is a new product I got. Why don't you talk about my product? So what do? I take that product, create some nice content about that product. I put on my post, because I got money for that post. And there's certain organic reach I would get, and otherwise I will push that content. I'll put money to boost that content. And once I boost that content, it goes to a larger number of people. And that's how I make money. That's how the platform make money. And user get the content. So the role of the content in the current scenario is becoming more important. And content has become more and more loosely defined. Today content is any piece. And today, whether we like it or not, but today everyone is a journalist in that sense, because I'm creating content, I'm creating stories, and I'm putting on my social media. Now everyone has a different set of following. Some people have 10 people, some people have 1 million people, and everyone is everything in the middle. But you have a reach, and that's what the original role of media was, right? Media was creating content and making sure it reaches to a certain number of people. Now that role is being disseminated to those millions of people. Today everyone is kind of a media by themselves. They are creating content and they're pushing out content without the without understanding the responsibility that they have for creating the content. See, if media houses had a sense of responsibility, they knew the do's and the don'ts, what has to be done, what doesn't have to be done. But when everyone starts becoming media house, when everyone starts producing content, a lot of irresponsible content, you know, gets out of the way, and that starts a very different kind of debate. Whose ownership, who is responsible for that content. So today today the yesterday only, our minister of information and broadcasting, Javadkar and Praful, they had a conference saying, responsible freedom with a responsibility. And in this age and time, that will become the biggest thing. What you create is up to you, and what it reaches is up to the platforms. And that's a very dangerous combination, because no one has a control on that entire process. And all is driven, like I said, AI. The creation process you're talking about, in terms of the filters that are available, the how you can make it look nicer and sexier and jazzier. It's all AI. Right? You can make yourself look pretty. You can make, you can't even recognize people in person sometimes from the picture. It's as broad as that and as vague as that. So that's the, so like I said, so the AI is being used to disseminate basis your personalization, basis your um, reading pattern, reading habits, and enriching your profile the way the platform likes it. And they have a huge control on what you consume. Is being used to create the, simplify the process of creation, simplify the process of automation, um, the way we are looking at it. And then the third thing, which is the negative side of this entire AI, is in creation of fakes. You know, Earlier people were creating fake pictures. We knew of that, fake content. And now, yeah, with AI, you can actually create deep fakes. Deep fakes is actually a video where actually a person is saying something, but that's a fake video. So I can have Donald Trump sweeping the floor, and you'll not be able to make out because it's a video. You will always trust that video. You thought, how can video be wrong? Pictures we know, can be superimposed, because you've gone to used to the fact that pictures can be fake. But the new thing with the AI is the videos and the deep fakes of the videos. So that's something that even the creation process of AI, of content creation, a lot of times AI is being used to create uh deepfakes. So guys, you have any questions that you want to ask? Because I think this has been a very silent group. So I'm not sure what's going in your mind, what you're thinking. But any questions you have? Okay. Because this gives at a very broad level this gives it a broad level what AI and the AI of role in social media, or AI in the role of content or journalism. Now, if you want something else, I can get specific, but you have to you have to let me know.
Gupta sir, like one of our participant, is Praful. He's asking like how the sponsored content recommendation on social media, or is it tossed down or throw it without any content, and how it actually pushed. And
Yeah,
he's
I mean,
asking.
push. I think I briefly answered it, but let me spell it out more. I think content is content. Now, the mechanism is the same. So I'm a let's say, for example, I have a page. Let's say I have 1 million followers on my page. When I create a content, I post that content, it will reach to a certain number of people. Now, the reach and engagement depends upon your stickiness of the content. The multiple metrics that we measure. We measure the reach, we measure the engagement, we measure the time viewed, and there are multiple metrics that how the content is there. But the platforms measure the content on the stickiness, which means that how sticky the content is, how many people are actually finding it nice or are engaging with that. Initially, the more the people engage, the more people it will throw. So that's how things get viral. How viral gets, because there's a formula, right? So if in the first 10 minutes, uh, if in the first 10 minutes, if the video gets 10,000 views, then
Okay.
then the engine will detect that, oh, a lot of people are liking it. So then the engine will start showing to a lot more people. And when a lot more people will see it, a lot more people will get like, and that's how the video grows, and it becomes a viral. Because it's all engine driven. That's how they detect it. Now, there's no distinction between a user generated or a sponsored content. Sponsored content is something that for is paid for.
Yes, sir. May I actually? I just wanted to see the example that you had given is about the content, and you talked about the influencers. So influencer are those who actually create the content irrespective of the sponsor. Like they do not have the sponsor content. Actually, they create the content based on whatever they like, or may they take up the social issues, or maybe some technical things. Okay.
Yeah.
So in that sense, the sponsor content is something which is a bought out space. Like the I want to I want to sell something. I want my message to be go in case of a political party, they have certain agenda or they have some message to pass on to their voters, right? So
Yeah.
how this specifically sponsored content is actually through algorithm, like whether I like it or not. So how that is placed on my say social media wall, or how it actually lands on the social media platforms. So that is what exactly I wish to ask.
Okay. Okay. So, Praful, the entire social when you're spending time on social media, the social media has created their persona, right? I know what kind of content you like. Now, if I'm a person X and I want my content to be pushed to all those people, I will go on those platforms. I will say, this is my content. It can be a picture or a video, and I will put a budget. I say I want to spend 5 rupees or 5 lakh or 50 lakh of rupees, and I define how many people I want the content to be reached to. So do I want the content to reach to be to 5 people, 5,000 people, 10,000 people, 50,000 people? And there are a lot of filters I get, like, what is the age group that I think, what language, whatever you will give me, I will use that as your preference, whatever you decide. So suppose you put a piece of content, it's let's say it's any message, and you say this message should reach to everyone living in Karnataka at the age of 18 to 34. So now you have defined only given me two parameters, which is the location and the age. So, and depending on the budget that you decide, that content will be shown to everyone living in Karnataka under that age.
Okay.
If you make it more clearer, no, I want to people in Karnataka in that age with an income bracket of X and single and who has a car, and who like, so then the more the filtering, the number of people gets smaller and smaller and smaller, but the person who's spending money decides where this content should be shown.
Okay.
Is it clear to you?
Yes.
Okay, so you decide because you're spending the money, and you would decide that who should see this content. In a different scenario, like an organic content, where depending on my followers, my only followers will see my content. But here, because you're spending the money, you will see the content. Now, Mr. Arun says that will AI is able to differentiate between true and a fake video content. That's like the biggest battle or the biggest challenge that is happening right now. Because AI is a machine. When you say it is true or false, AI need a reference point, right? I mean, that's why they call machine learning. If you understand what you do in machine learning, we show him one sample, we'll show him 50 shades of green and say this is green. So we train the machine that this is green, this is green, this is green, this is green. So when you want to make him to recognize a person, we will show him, let's say, 300 pictures of Amitabh Bachchan, so that next time he's able to recognize this face as Amitabh Bachchan. Now, when you want to say that this is true or fake, now with what respect, the machine doesn't know what's my reference point. So if I showed you a video of let's say Katrina Kaif having ice cream on Juhu Beach, and you ask me this is real or fake, so how would AI know? Because AI doesn't know a reference point. AI knows, is it Katrina Kaif? Yes, it is. Is it Juhu Beach? Yes, it is. Is it ice cream? Yes, it is. Because those independent learnings I have done. But was Katrina Kaif at Juhu Beach at 2 p.m. eating this ice cream? AI can't answer that question to you. Otherwise, and that's the whole debate. I mean, that's the whole debate of saying that how do you detect the deep fakes? Because I'm using AI to create a video so that the person looks like Katrina Kaif and real Katrina Kaif video. But for AI to detect that this is fake, it needs a reference against which it says true or false. It means that, okay, this is true, anything that does not match is false. Or this is false, and everything that doesn't match is true. So, for example, in YouTube, yes, I'll answer that. It's a very tricky one, Praful, but just
Excuse me, sir. I am Arunima. We will ask you how to AI differentiate real and fake video. If anybody give the wrong reference to identify it is right or wrong, then how you can how AI will work to find out the actual one? Is it work with the cloud by in ML?
No, the cloud is a way of using compute power. Cloud has nothing to do with anything else. Cloud means you don't need a physical machine at your location. You can use a machine anywhere in the world. So that is what cloud is. But when you want to differentiate whether this is true or false, I'll give a simple example. Maybe that will help you. For example, in YouTube, how does YouTube know that you have done a copyright violation? I will upload the original video there, saying that anything that matches to this video is actually my video, and they have violated that copyright. Now, when like I said, like I talked about deepfakes. The deepfakes is that if I'm using AI to create that video, artificial video, it's very difficult for user or for AI to determine whether this is fake, because it doesn't know what was real. You understand? There has to be a comparison for me to say, if you tell me that, okay, this is a real picture, anything else which is there is false, that AI can do. If you give me a reference point.
In addition to the same question, like what the madam asked, so how this Twitter flags the message? Like how does it flags the message if it's fake, or if the information is wrong or incorrect or fake? So the Twitter actually started this flagging service.
Yes.
So how does it function? How does it
They
work?
started flagging service. Now they flag content basis 4 parameters. Now they have certain guidelines. The guidelines is around pornography, the guidelines is around child abuse, guideline is around hate speech. So hate speech, I can decide that these words are hate speech, which are enticing. So if it has one or more words or a combination of those words, that gets flagged as hate speech. Or when I see that, okay, this is a so for example, I'll give an example like Instagram, you can upload pictures of bikini, but there's certain body parts you can't show because it detects those body parts and will flag that this is inappropriate content.
And it all that flagging happens all automated.
It's automated. So they have created a reference list. They created a reference point. If the content has these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parameters, then this is flagged for inappropriate content. They never call it fake. They say inappropriate content, or they say it doesn't match to the platform guidelines.
Okay. So it has got nothing to do with the fake.
No. Or there are certain facts that you can put as a background. So, for example, fact like India's population is X.
Yeah.
If someone says that India's population is 2 billion, the system can detect the population is 1.3 billion, not 2 billion. So therefore, this is wrong.
Okay. So it has got some reference.
Yes. It has
got the authentic information first.
Yes. It's machine. It only works on reference. You can train something. It's not intelligent. That's why it's called artificial intelligence. It's not called intelligence.
Yes.
They can't put the context in frame.
Yeah.
Now
it compares X with Y.
Yes. And then in a very simpler way, yes. But they can compare on, let's say, 15 or 20 or 30,000 different points in a fraction of a second and tell you whether it matches or not matches.
Okay.
Across billions of content objects.
Yes.
I know Thursday released a guideline on social media that's saying that they have to, they have to identify the originator of a message. I think. Sorry.
Arunima, this side. Means you mean to say that if we provide a billion of reference point, then it will be easy in AI to identify the whatever the contents is there, it is fake or means true, isn't it?
Yes.
So that depends on the data. So if we are comparing with the huge number of data, then we will get the exact things. Otherwise, it is very difficult to say it is fake or genuine, isn't it?
Yes, Anima, you are quite close. It identifies with reference to point, and the higher the reference point, the more accurate will be. And then we follow the diminishing law of impact, which means that after a certain reference point, it doesn't matter whether you give me more or not, because then by the time my algorithm is already trained, and it will tell you it doesn't match. Now, what you call fake is what you tell the system to tell you. System just says that it match or it doesn't match. Now, if you want to call that not match as fake, it's up to you to decide how do you create that program. You understand? So for the system, the fake word doesn't exist.
Yeah, sir.
It's what
right. Sir.
It matches or it doesn't match.
Right. So that's what the difference between machine and human being.
Exactly. Exactly, ma'am. Exactly. You are right. Human beings are intelligent. If I train the system, for example, if I showed your picture and say that, okay, this is Deepika Padukone, and I create my machine to say that this picture belongs to, the machine will recognize you as Deepika Padukone. As simple as that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. So yes, I think government have been trying for a long time to put some control around the content that is being circulated, and I think it follows very clearly after what Australian government did. Tim Morrison kind of passed the regulation asking the news media to pay for the content to the newspapers, and I think that is being watched globally across. So I think yes, identifying the originator of the message would help in solving a lot of different things, in terms of, especially in terms of hate speeches and enticing crime and everything else. But they have just released the guidelines yesterday, and I think we'll wait and see how these platforms respond to that.
Yes,
But
sir.
but see, globally, everyone wants to control this social media and the big tech platform. That's the global thing now. See what's happening in Australia. See what's happened in France. Because when the control goes to,
Yeah. Will
Praful, I can't hear you.
can you hear me? Yes.
Now I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Praful.
Yeah. I want to ask you, like, yeah. If government try to put control over, say, OTT platforms and also the content that they serve, actually it is uncensored and all, and that is what the difference between the censored content, like what we see on television and what we see in cinema theater, right? It is all censored content. If we talk about India, but suppose if this content is controlled, so would you think that the popularity or the subscriber will go down?
No, I think what the government is not government. All they have said for OTT is that they have to declare the age level at which is applied. So they are not saying they are not, and they have said that it will clearly be self-regulated. So they're saying they have to declare whether this is under 7, under 13, 18, adult. They have to just declare it out. They are not saying that don't put it. See, in cinemas or in TV, you can't put certain kind of content. Currently, the government is not saying that don't put that content. It's just saying that it has to have a label that it's applicable for which category of users. That's all it's saying. Under what they released yesterday. And these guys should need to have a self-regulating. It's a 3-tiered self-regulating mechanism that the government has proposed. By having a own self-regulating body, and that should govern that out. So the government is not saying that we will control it. They're saying that you control it, and put an appropriate tag to the content. If you look at Netflix globally, a lot of Indian shows are not classified, but Netflix, a lot of shows are classified as, and in US it was very from a long time, guidance, parental guidance, adult, teen. I mean, they have that age bracket for which age appropriate content. That's what the government has asked as of now.
So, but these are the standard which normally American and European countries normally follow. But in our case, we don't have such kind of a thing for a censored content. Like there is no, like for general viewers, or maybe there is some age restrictions and for adults all. So we don't have such kind of mechanism. But how it is going to be implemented for social media platforms? And then why not it is applicable to this content also, and let the content open based on these age restrictions. Like even we can have the same content on, say, televisions and even in cinema, because even in a cable also we can't they don't show too much violence. Not even a blood also is allowed.
It is different, right? See, you have to understand that mobile phone is a personal medium. TV is not a personal medium. TV is got by 5 people in the house. Mobile phone is like between you and the mobile phone.
True.
Okay, so there'll be difference between what can be shown on a personal screen. Mobile or digital is your personal screen. So there'll be difference to that one. And I think, Nadeem, when deepfakes are created, AI cannot detect which is a deepfake after it is compiled. I mean, I wish it was as simple. So I'm not saying that this is not possible. There are certain complicated ways to detect deep fakes, and the reverse engineering is completely possible. But it's not like, I mean, it governs around that, but that's a very different. It's a different mechanism how you can do that. See, creation of fakes are easier. Detection is difficult because you do not know what frame is faked. Like I said, because you don't know the reference point. So suppose there's a full video of a man walking on the beach. He he bends down and he gets up. Now, when he bends down, I introduce a packet of cigarettes. Entire frame, you don't know which part of this video is fake. Because once it is compiled in a video, especially once you compile the video, you do not know which part of the video is edited, or you can't see unless I give you original file, and then you can say, oh, this was edited. And therefore, I know if you deal in video editing, a lot of your video editors will ask, sir, please get the original file, not the compiled file. In MP4, you can't detect unless you give me the raw file. In the raw file, I can tell you which frame was edited.
Yeah, Gupta sir, can we finish the first session?
Yeah. I think
yeah.
no. So I think great. So guys, like I said, I'll give you I'll put my email address there in case if you guys have any questions. Feel free to reach out to me later as well. But this is very interesting. The world's definitely going to change with AI, and I think AI is not a threat. We should try to use AI like a tool. It's like fire. You can use fire either to burn the house or cook the food. It's up to us to how do we want to use AI for. But let's be clear to use AI for all the good things it can do for us, all the amazing things and amazing stuff that we can do. But like every technology, it will be used and it will be misused and it will be abused. So, but we'll have to live with that. Yeah. I mean, we live with that downside of technology in every field.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gupta sir, for your valuable and insightful thoughts, and making us understand how social media using content-led idea and AI and machine learning, so on. So once again, I thank you very much, sir, for sharing your knowledge.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you. Ciao.
Now I feel extremely honored to introduce our another resource person, Dr. Sara Chinnaswamy. Welcome you, madam, for the last technical session of the national workshop on AI and media. Dr. Sara Chinnaswamy, presently working as an associate professor at Faculty of Communication and Media Studies, University of Technology, Mara, Malaysia, and she is also a political and social media analyst in Malaysia. Dr. Sara has completed her postdoctoral degree in digital policies and blockchain technologies from the University of Melbourne. She is a visiting professor for School of Culture and Communication, the University of Melbourne, Australia. She started her career in the media from a young age at 19. Now she is an expert in new media and politics discussion and also broadcasting journalism. She also had produced special reports which track technology development in the country, food, life, and culture in Malaysia. She has carried out several major and minor and major projects ranging subjects, communication and multimedia, facts, issues, and judgment to a risk journalism and global crisis. She has guided a number of degree, postgraduate, and PhD scholars in research and thesis writing. She has published several technical and research papers in reputed national and international journals, books. She is a member, panel jury, political and social media analyst, training programmer, advisor, and a consultant for a number of national and international institutions, boards, and panels. She's been the recipient of many awards, among which Anughera Khidmat, Semerlang, University Technology Mara University Best Service Performance Award in 2007. Launching of the world-leading book publisher, Tyler Francis Routledge book, New Media, Political Engagement and Participation in Malaysia, on the 8th of the November in 2017 by the former Honorable Minister of Communication and Multimedia, Malaysia, Datuk Seri Dr. Saleh Kerok at the Federal Parliament of the Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and many more. So I wholeheartedly once again welcome you, Sara, madam, for this technical session, and over to you, madam.
Invitation, and I'm truly honored to be welcomed by this college. And thank you very much to this organizer. And also I would like to thank my fellow research colleague, Dr. Uma Pandi, for recommending me to be one of the speaker for this session. Okay, we jump to the topic. We all the time talk about artificial intelligence, and I'm pretty much sure that in many countries, especially on Southeast Asia, like Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, and Southeast Asia countries. Most of the countries, we are actually in a learning phase. I would say that to what extent the artificial intelligence could become a real tool to encounter the fake news. So share my details orally and tomorrow to the organizers, so that those who are viewing could share some of the case study which I did for Southeast Asia and South Asia. I don't know how is the development of artificial intelligence in India, but most of the country in Southeast Asia, for example, like Malaysia, Singapore, we are actually still in a learning phase to really identify to what extent artificial intelligence tools can encounter the fake news. And I'm pretty much sure that all of us, we went through the pandemic of COVID-19, and we know that as the case are increasing in a daily basis, and the fake news also is actually following behind with a lot of information that been shared, overloaded on social media platform. Okay, I'm just sharing the context of Malaysia here. Maybe it could become a interesting case study to all of you in India. Like in Malaysia, we had the issue of a lot of fake news, especially when it comes to related to the hospital, related to a certain zone where a certain zone been identified that shouldn't be entered, and a lot of pandemic figure had been played through the fake news. So we are actually trying our level best to how to encounter, but I could see that artificial intelligence, which announced by Facebook, Twitter, Google, Discovery, and also Facebook, they have come out with different kinds of discovery of artificial intelligence, where they really encountered the fake news which related to the COVID-19. So in Malaysia, what we have decided to do is most of the cases we have taken legally, and we are still in a learning phase of artificial intelligence, where we're looking at the blockchain technology as well. So now we could say that any news can become a fake news if the information is presented correct or incorrectly, or the information is actually doesn't represent the facts that really carried. So it always end up a confusion to all of us, which one is the authentic source, which one is coming from a secondary source, which one we can consider as a alternative facts, which one we can consider as a misinformation or disinformation or malinformation. So these are the categories that will be looking at the circulation of fake news. And I'm pretty much sure that when it comes to the information, it also assuring the veracity of information, which are about moving, about processing, securing the information. In short, it's more to a big data veracity issue here, I would say that. So with trillion of people are using the Facebook, like in Malaysia, we have nearly 34 million people. But throughout these 34 million people, nearly 26 to 27 million people are using the internet, are Facebook users. So we can predict much that less than 8 million or 9 million people are not using the social media platform, which means they could be people who are living in a remote area, they could be people who are actually illiterate, or people maybe it could be categorized the children. So it's a very high ratio of social media platform usage in our country, and Malaysia is one of the top country in Southeast Asia in terms of usage of the social media platform. And now we always looking at the artificial intelligence look upon like a cornerstone to separate the good from the bad, from the news field, what we have identified. Yet, this is a huge process where we need research and development, we need the human capacity, we need a lot of aspects which really need to be fit to the state of the condition of the people, or towards their internet penetration, towards the circulation of the fake news, what kind of implementation, artificial intelligence tools that appropriate to be applied to a certain country. So I would say that it could be different in India, it could be different in Malaysia, it could be different in Indonesia, it could be different in Singapore. And when it comes to the legislation, we could see that there are a variety of faces when we are comparing among the Southeast Asia countries. And this is really makes that artificial intelligence sometimes it would be make easy to learn the behavior through the pattern recognition. As I giving example to you before, when we talk about the COVID, most of the fake news which bursts in Malaysia, it's related to the hospital, it's related to the downplaying the figure, it's related to the status of a certain district, which give a doubt, which give a fear, which give a lot of unsecurity to the people to come out from their house. So this kind of pattern behavior is very important for us to really identify Malaysian society. And hastening artificial intelligence power, which Q from the article that reflect as improve the data, it grows day by day. The challenges to the people to undercover the truth actually. And what was happened in 2013 United States presidential election, where the former President Obama said that we will be witness a scenario of uncertainty, a scenario of we wouldn't know, we will be in a state where we can't understand which one is the real information, which one is the fake information, which one is an alternative fake, and which one is secondary kind of information. So it's really giving a lot of challenges, and artificial intelligence has turned into a beacon for hope, for accurate in terms of data, in terms of identifying the fake news. Thus, it is very important. I know that this fake news scenario have been ongoing for quite some time, but it is very important when, or like the one that we are facing now, especially on the COVID-19, they would say that in and example to identify. Now we have a question whether to what extent the artificial intelligence is really key to combat the fake news here. And usually how we are identifying the fake news. So sometimes we have to check the accuracy of the facts and the content. Sometimes we have to check the logo. Sometimes we have to check types of website that circulated the information. I would love to share to you what was happened in our country previously 2 months ago, where our official media website also been triggered by this kind of fake news movement, where the logo and the name looks like similar to our national broadcaster, and it created a lot of confusion among the people because most of us, we are actually browsing the internet through smartphone, and sometimes we overlook, maybe we sometimes we look at glance we look at that, sometimes we don't know whether it's a correct source of information. But that kind of a fake news movement, it was done not in Malaysia but at the international level. So this kind of information is really need to be looked at. And number two is the weight and the facts. Sometimes the facts are weighed against the reputed media sources using the artificial intelligence. So we have to see in terms of the weightage of the fact, to what extent that kind of messages could give damages to the people. And number three, usually we will be looking at the prediction of a reputation. For example, like machine learning model checking the domain name, LSCAR ranks and sources. And the last not least, about the discovery of a sensational word. Usually the fake news, they are using the keyword analytic, which sometimes it would be very easy for the artificial intelligence tools to identify that. And we could see that a lot of tools are available nowadays in the market, which really can identify the fake news. But then again, when I'm saying to that, it's very much depending to the content, the context. It's very much depending to the issue. It's very much depending of what kind of information that been circulated in the fake news. For example, we have Newsweek, we have Oxy, we have Snopes, we have Croctangle, we have Median, we have Google Trend, we have Lee Decoder and PIM. So these are the type of machinery, I would say, that really much playing role for us to really identify what kind of information that been searched. And a researcher already know that most of the online fake news spread much quickly and more widely than real news. And for a country like Malaysia, we are still in a developing phase, and we have mainstream media, which we know as a traditional media, print, and also broadcast. And at the same time, we have the version of social media platform. And at the same time, we have a lot of news blog, which emerging in our country. And for a country like India, you have a lot of population, and I'm pretty much sure that media consumption is actually very, very high in your country. And for the students who are actually looking at this kind of case study, maybe you can compare India case with some other countries in Southeast Asia. Maybe you could study a small country like Malaysia, how the fake news is actually challenging the mainstream media in general. So I would say that in coming years, people in a developed country could encountering more fake news than real information, and this could bring a phenomenon where researchers have a doubt about reality with IGO, where the computer can generate such convincing content that regular people have a hard time to figuring what's true and what's not true. That's why we could see that during this COVID-19 pandemic, people are actually claiming as an infodemic because too much of information have been circulated on the internet. And now we are in the phase of receiving the vaccine, and we could see that a lot of sentimental values, a lot of information have been shared about the value about the vaccine, whether the vaccine is good to be used, or it could be endangered people. So these kind of information, it been started to be circulated. And in Malaysia, for example, we received our vaccine 2 days ago, and the Prime Minister is the first person with the frontliners who actually got this vaccine. So indirectly, a lot of information have been started to circulate on the arrival of the vaccine, which is how, to what extent it really can cure this COVID-19, and what kind of reception that we are receiving from the people. And I would say that artificial intelligence is more to detecting the falsehood. And machine learning algorithm, one type of artificial intelligence, have been very successful for decades, fighting the spam email by analyzing the message text and determine how likely it's a particular message, whether it's a real communication text from an actual person, or it could be a solicitation for pharmaceutical or claiming for a long lost fortune. And these are the things that really giving thoughts to us, because when we are looking at the emergence of convergence, and the technology convergence is increasing day by day, and a lot of new features has been rising on the social media platform. And for example, I would say that those days we could see that Facebook have a limitation of, we have a live streaming, we have a lot of information that can be shared. Though Facebook is also applying artificial intelligence tool to labelizing the fake news, and indirectly they are actually very fast filtering the fake news, and it's giving option to all of us to report which content could harm the people, could create insecurity to the people. And I would say that using artificial information to evaluate information can also expose and amplify certain biases in society. For example, it could be related to background or neighbor stereotypes. And in Malaysia, for example, we are multi-ethnic society. We have Malay people, we have Chinese ethnic, and we have Indian ethnics are living in our country. And we had our independence in 1957, and until now, more than 60 years of post-independent. So these kind of information are very much valued in our society. And our legislation have come out under the Malaysian Media Communication Commission, where issues related to 3R here means race, religion, and royalty. And these 3R, people, they can't simply comment anything related to royalty, anything related to the race, anything related to the religion. And we have an option where they can launch the report, and maximum 50,000 of fine or 2 years jail penalty will be employed to all these people who are circulating this kind of information. So it similar goes to the Facebook application as well, where it can be related to the gender, it can be related to the racial background, it can be related to neighborhood stereotypes. So it's if it can have a political consequences, potentially restricting expression, particular views. For example, YouTube, it has cut off advertising from certain types of video channel, which costing the creator money. So we could see that day by day, all these social media company, especially Facebook, Twitter, Google Discovery, YouTube, and Instagram. So in a gradual basis, they are actually developing their artificial intelligence tool to encounter the fake news. But then again, when it comes to the perspective of countries, it's very much depending to the state of the media, how media is freedom in your country. And secondly, what are the challenges taken, what are the measurements taken by media in your country towards the spread of fake news. And above of that, they are using artificial intelligence tool to encounter the fake news. So these kind of important principle need to be applied, whether you wanted to use certain technology, which one is the more convenient to your society, which one is more related to the context of your society. And I would say that context is also a key here, where word meanings can change over the time, and the same time can be different thing on liberal sides or conservative one. For example, a post with the terms of WikiLeaks and DNC, or more on the liberal side, could be more likely to be news, while conservative side is more to a particular sets of conspiracy theory. Well, so I would give a perfect example here where the last time when we had suicide, no, last time we had a bomb attack in New Zealand, and also we had a bomb attack in Sri Lanka, and we could see that how Sri Lanka government has banned the social media for 48 hours to make sure that none of information been leaked, none of the fake news been created. So this is one of the way how they are actually addressing the internal major issue which is related to the COVID-19. So back to the question of the biggest challenges ever, how to using artificial intelligence to detect fake news has put a technology in the arms of race within itself. As I said again to all of you, it's very much depending to the context of society. It's very much depending to the context of media in your country, very much depending on society value in your country. And machine learning system are already proving spooky capable of creating what we call deep fakes, photo or video, or replacing other people's face with other people. For example, a celebrity photo was photographed in a revealing pose, or a public figure saying that he actually never said such kind of thing. So researchers are now already preparing to use artificial intelligence to identify these artificial intelligence created fakes. For example, here, technique for video magnification can detect changes in human pulse. That's why sometimes we could see a lot of apps emerging in Facebook, for example, whether you wanted to play with that kind of apps. And sometimes we have to be very careful when we are looking to this kind of apps, whether we should download it. And we could see that there's a lot of trend that your face can be changed. You can see your face when you are young, when you are at middle age, when you are reach 60 above, when you are reach 80 above. So we wouldn't know this kind of artificial created fixed kind of a thing. So we have to be very sophisticated, because sometimes we are unable to decide, unable to identify which sometimes it can be used a simple language, or sometimes it can make easily a certain clear discussion here back. So human intelligence is the real key here. So the best way how to combat the spread of fake news is very much depending on the people. So in my country, Malaysia, for example, I would encourage all the government officials, organizations, or any kind of institution, they have to strengthen their corporate communication here, where they have to monitor whichever news that have been circulated about their institution or about their government official. So once that kind of information been circulated, they have to encounter back immediately. Otherwise, it will create a lot of damages impact, not only to the officer but also to the institution as well. So it has to be a two-way interaction, not only between the society, between the people, but also between the government agencies, between the institution, and also the number three is the media itself. So the societal consequences of fake news is greater political polarization, which increase the participantship, and sometimes it can erode trust in the mainstream media and also government. That's why in all my political commentaries, I always encourage important government agencies, they have to monitor their social media content in a daily basis, or even you can put your organization name in a Google browse, and you can check what kind of information people been posted about your organization, about about status of the work that you have done. But now the COVID-19 pandemic is a real a case of how we are looking at the efficiency of certain agency, how they are actually performing this task during the COVID-19 pandemic. So it's very important for us to encounter circulated fake news within half an hour or within half day at least. Otherwise it could raise a lot of likes, it could raise a lot of posts, it people could be sharing, and a lot of citizen journalists could pick up that story and come out with a lot of video content. And more people knew that the stakes were very high. They might be more wary of information, particularly emotional based, because that's the effective way of how to get the people attention. So emotional is one of the part where it can make people more angry, can create people to comment more on social media. And I'm pretty much sure, I don't know the culture in India how, but in Malaysia, basically most of the issues that been generated through emotional aspect, it always created a lot of reaction among the people. And when someone sees enraging post, they would do better to investigate the information rather than sharing it immediately. And the act of sharing here also lends credibility to posts. And I know that most of the people are using the smartphone. Sometimes we do not have a time to check the source. Sometimes we don't have time to check the fact, and sometimes we don't have time to check the link. So if you are unsure about that particular information, please do not share, please do not like, because your likes, your share could create more harms to people, not only to create uncertainty, but fear, but doubt, but also this is something that not good information circulation among the society. And social media like YouTube, Facebook could voluntarily decide to label their content. And you knew that in Facebook, for example, Mark has been I have been told Congress that he wants to mobilize community Facebook users to direct his company algorithm, and Facebook could crowd source verification effort, and we could see that a lot of research funding being circulated by Facebook in a monthly basis, quarterly basis, how they wanted to increase the safety, increase the security, how they wanted to create more algorithm to generate a healthy information circulation among the world community. And I'm also giving a simple example here. For example, like Facebook also could use its partnership with the news organization and volunteer to train artificial intelligence to the system to respond to the propaganda. And not only during the COVID-19 pandemic, but during the election time also, it is very important, because we have cyber troopers, we have a lot of people who come out with propagandists, and could have bloggers who've been hired by any politicians or any political party. So this won't catch every piece of the news being posted here, but it would make it easier for large number of people to tell a fact from the fake. And that can somehow can reduce the misleading stories that could happen among the people. And I don't know the context about in India, but in Malaysia, we have the trend of rising opinion leaders. So the opinion leaders, they could be from a non-governmental organization, they could be pressure groups, they could be volunteers, they could be coming from bloggers group of journalists, they could come from citizen journalists. So we have this rising opinion leaders among our community. And sometimes these opinion leaders, they played a very important role here to circulate the information to the people, to those who are living in a remote area, for those who can't have access to the internet. So we have to make sure that the information shared during the pandemic time or during a electoral period, it has to really address people need. At the same time, we need to have some exposure to accurate news which is better, which could distinguish between real and fake information here. So I would love to share about my article. Maybe you can Google my name and you could see one of article which written by myself between the title, the thin line between the fake and also between the fake and also between the fact. So it been published in one of the magazine in University of Melbourne, and I have compiled countries like Indonesia, countries like Hong Kong, Taiwan, how actually they are playing an important role in encountering the fake news. So I think on the last very session, I would say that um, it's very much depending how what kind of approach has been taken by your country to encounter the circulation of the fake news. Maybe you could have a spike, or maybe you could have a hoxie, where a tool that could help users to identify fake news sites. Some they have to help to spot fake news stories, some they can help to verify news breaking online. So variety of tool has been generated through the artificial intelligence. And as I said to all of you, it's very much depending to the context of your society, the context of fake news that been circulated in your country, and the context of media in your country. So you could choose any kind of a tool which is appropriate, which could prevent the circulation of the fake news in your country. So I've given a talk nearly about half an hour here. So I'm happy to take questions from all of you rather than I am delivering a speech, my speech alone. Maybe you could ask me some comparative cases. Any one of you would like to ask any questions here?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Praful from Aurangabad, Maharashtra. It was a wonderful presentation, madam. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the fake content. The fake content
Okay.
is mostly the fake content is mostly help the party in power to propel propaganda, and it is deployed as a potent tool of divergent tactics. Do you think that the fake content issue can be handled if the content that promotes or directly or indirectly help the party in power to promote its own interest? That content would put on heavy scrutiny and then clear and post for public consumption, considering the party in power is biggest beneficiary of the social media compared to the opposition party. So can this be a reality, like putting party in power, because they are at the controlling, they're controlling everything, like what we see in Russia or maybe in China or maybe in America at the at the time of Trump's tenure. So your
Okay.
take on this?
Okay, based on my experience as a political analyst, where I've been working under the office of a Prime Minister of Malaysia previously, usually our job is we have to encounter this kind of information. So during the election time, there are a lot of site, a lot of blogs will come out with a lot of issues. So the issues is really there, but how the parties, how the candidates are actually downplaying with that issue. So we could see that maybe one-sided people, one-sided of party, one-sided of bloc, they have come out with different way how they are actually looking at that issue. At the same time, when we are looking in other bloc, they have come out with a different kind of view. But I would say that during this electoral campaigning period, we are still able to control the circulation of information, which means the other bloc has to play an important role to counter back immediately. Even though sometimes in some countries they have hired blogger which favoring to a certain political parties, which is favoring to a certain politician, and how speak the opponent party is actually playing role to encounter that. So this is the part where we are talking about perception manipulation here. So when the opponent group, opponent bloc is actually, if they are actually taking time to encounter back what been trolled by the cyber troopers from other bloc, that could create a lot of manipulation of information, manipulation of perception among the people, where you are giving time to the public, you are giving time to the people, to the voters, to think about what kind of issue is ongoing now, how the government or the people are actually addressing that particular issue. So I would say that it still can be countered back, but it has to be done immediately, because as you are actually dragging the time to answer, to encounter that kind of allegation, that kind of claim, the more longer you postpone, the more longer it can give a lot of manipulation of perception among the people, which is very difficult to change voters' mindset. And it's very much depending to the what we call the cyber troopers that you have, to what extent you are fast to encounter issues that been highlighted. So usually in countries which I have conducted the research, I would say that, for example, Malaysia, for example, we try to encounter past some issues are very long drag issues. A long drag issues mean issues that always been highlighted about the people, always like a bread and butter issue. So if that particular issue been highlighted by one opponent, and the other opponent, they must know how to counter back. If they delay in counter back, that issue will be, I would say that will be pending, overdue, and it could create a decision for them for taking to vote that particular party. So it's something that it's depending to the stakeholders, how speed they are actually countering back issues being posted. I hope I answer you, Praful.
Yes, madam. But I like you to comment on the days the party in power, or the days government is at always advantage, because they are controlling, right? So because they get more benefit, because they can control things, they have all the means to like control the situations, and they just want to propel their propaganda to counter their opponent. But if there is a precondition that the content of the party in power is to be checked and scrutinized heavily, would that really in a way, or in a sense, help resolve the issue of fake content? Because we've seen like many countries, or many the party in power are actually trying to control the content, and content is all about expression, content is all about issues, content is all about narrative. So would that be possible?
Like it's very much depending. I would say that it depending to the status of media consumption in India, basically. Like in my country, mainstream media, the media which owned by the government, and the social media, we have pretty much very equal ratio in terms of people who are looking for mainstream media and looking for the social media as well. So we have to look at the ratio of the media consumption here? What is the ratio of people trust of media, mainstream media in your country? And from there, we could see that how whether information that been circulated by them, it's really been received by the people. And Praful, I would say that in many developing country, majorly we could see that most of the mainstream media sometimes they have lack of trust from the public. So even though they are saying something that favoring to the government, something favoring to the government project, government program, something favoring to the government politician, yet we need to see how well it been perceiving by the people as well. That is the most question that I really wanted to put here. So we had this situation previously where people sometimes they actually lack of trust on the mainstream media, and what they are actually want is they are demand more balanced news, which is from the government and also from the opposition as well. And with the regards of this kinds of scenario, it can be long lasting, because to one situation, you will have the print sales will be dropped. People are looking more for social media content. So we can't play much for a longer term. Okay, even though it's owned by the government, even though it's owned by the government linked individual, but then we have to see the level of acceptance among the people, to what extent they trust the mainstream media. So from the research which I've done in Malaysia context, I would say that previously mainstream media always been favored to the government, and it's been controlled by the government and government linked individual. But now, due to the exponential growth of social media, people are looking more to social media content. Somehow the mainstream media has changed the news gathering method. They change the way how they are actually collecting the news gathering method, so that they are able to counterfeit, they are able to challenge, they are able to compete with the social media. So from there, we could see that 60%, 65% gradually they have grown, because they knows at which level their popularity as a mainstream media content, and in what level social media content, how they are generating popularity from the people. And for example, in Malaysia, most of the issue related to important events, political unrest issue, related to the religion, related to the minority groups, usually been highlighted by the social media, whereas the mainstream media sometimes they ignore this kind of information, because their policy, they wanted to promote the unity among the three multi-ethnic people here. So as day goes, as technology convergence goes, you can't avoid this kind of information. So I'm giving back this situation to you, how in India people are evaluating the mainstream media, and look at to which level they are actually, to what extent they are actually accepting the mainstream media in your country, and at the same time look at the independent portals, how well they are managing themselves in getting the sales and popularity among the Indian people.
Yeah, madam, my name is R.K. Singh.
Okay.
I have my question. Of course, what you have explained very well, that in Malaysia, in your country, how you are taking the news, from the social media or from the mainstream, and then what action and all that you are taking. That is fine. My basic fundamental question is that artificial intelligence as a tool, how your country is using this tool to take action about the fake news, and when it is coming. What exactly, as a tool, how you are using it? Because that is
we actually strengthen our legislation here. We are still in the developing of enhancing our artificial intelligence tools here, but most of the tools we could see that I've given to you a lot of samples how they are actually identified the important, like a fake website, fake news, and so on. But in my country, I would say, rather than artificial tool, legislation is playing a very important role to control the social media movement in my country because, for example, Malaysian Communication Multimedia Commission, we have implemented 3R. 3R means you can't talk about race, you can't talk about religion, you can't talk about race, religion, and royalty, for example. So we have a web called sebenarnya.my, which always identify kind of fake news, especially related to COVID-19 pandemic or related to any natural disaster, and they are countering back. So we are still in a developing process of artificial intelligence because, as I said, RK Singh, it's very much depending to the context of your society. Like in our country, we have a multi-ethnic society. We have Malay, Chinese, and Indian. And the major issue here is we don't want any kind of information related to the race and religion because we are post-independent since 1957. We are living in a unity and a harmony. And these sensitivity of race and religion is something that are very strong in our country. So I would say that legislation is actually playing a very important role here to control the circulation of the fake news. And when it comes to the race, religion, and royalty, you won't believe that Malaysians, they, as I told you, 26 million people, we are actually very active in Facebook. So whoever found out a post related to religion, they will screenshot that and they will launch a police report and they will launch a report to the Malaysian Communication Commission where action will be taken. So this is something that two-sided role played by the government and also played by the people. So artificial intelligence is still in a developing phase in our country. I would say that it's more to a legislation control, and we have 50,000 penalty and 2 years penalty of prison if you touch about this issue.
I think you will agree that still you are in the process of developing a very strong AI because this is a continuous process where you will take the help whenever there is some very sensitive fake news comes, and then decision, it is difficult to decide, by the government whether what action should be taken. Sometimes there is a very thin line. So probably when you develop the AI, it's a continuous process. Is there any action some group is there or government is taking serious action on developing such tool? Because this is a very important tool.
Yes. We are actually trying in the face of trying to speeden up the work, especially on the AI after we had this issue of COVID-19 pandemic, and almost a year we have been addressing this issue, and this 1 year we have been facing a lot of fake news issue related to the hospital, related to the figure of those been diagnosed, those have been discharged, those have been affected. So this kind of information always been discussed in the fake news. But I would say that our ministry is still in a control monitoring aspect, because I would say that rather than algorithm or rather than artificial intelligence, people commitment here is much more stronger rather than these tools. So we are still in a phase of developing. Definitely we will come out with something, and now we are actually addressing about the vaccine one. And the vaccine just arrived about 2-3 days ago, and a lot of what we call movement, sentiment related to the vaccine also been circulated. So people, they are actually welcoming the people to look at the content, and I'm pretty much sure in the future we will be definitely come out with that kind of a tool to really diagnose the fake news movement.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Mr. Mahesh, yeah. Any more queries from the participants?
Hello, ma'am.
Praful, it's echoing. It's
Am I audible now?
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Madam, you worked with PMO as a media consultant, if right? So, what major suggestion that you had given to the government about the controlling of the fake news, apart from that race, religion, and at what level the AI system is implemented in the government offices regarding information?
Mm.
If you would like to
Uh,
share, I mean, this may be
yeah.
a kind of a yeah.
Yeah. What we will do, usually we will doing the labeling. If it's related to defamation thing, we will doing the labeling immediately, and that labeling we will be circulated as much as we can. We maximally utilize mainstream media and the version of social media of mainstream media, and also we will come out press release at the same time. We will circulate it to all the social media platform when we are doing the labeling. So when come to the filtering, that's the part where we are talking about the artificial intelligence, and definitely in the future we will come out with that kind of what we call a tool that is appropriate to Malaysia context. So for now, what usually we will do, any kind of defamation, any kind of allegation, we will do the labeling first, so that the information could reach fast to the people, and people are able to see which one is the fake one, which one is the fact one. So we are giving the room to people to judge which one is the correct. Sometimes a program that been executed by the government, sometimes it was wrongly publicized in a different angle, and then we will be counter back. So mechanism of communications tool has been strengthened maximally here, regardless any kind of government project. So we want a good reception from the government and from the people as well, and so that the people understand why such program been established, what kind of response. Usually response we will consider all the response, and we will do the upgrading day by day. So this is the major part that we will do as much as we can. And also, if there is any kind of international mediation that been reported about our country or about our politician, we will be countering back immediately. So if international correspondent they portraying Malaysia political unrest in a different angle, we will be encountering back immediately by releasing press release and immediate, so that the information that been circulated, it can be judged fairly by the international community as well. So these are the work that basically we are actually been doing, and we hope that in the future we could come out with we still developing the algorithm which could really detecting kind of information. That's why I said it's very much depending to the context of society, whether the society is a society which have aspect of colonization here, like China, Chinese and Indian, they were brought to Malaysia. So this is the way how the setting of Malaysia is actually existed in our country.
All right.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah. Thank you very much, madam, for your valuable and insightful
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah.
And making all of us to understand how AI is acting as a tool to curb the fake news, and what are all the Malaysia government is taking steps to curb this fake news by using AI and so on. Thank you very much, Sarah madam, once again.
Okay, I would share to all of you my Facebook link as well, Dr. Sarah Chinasamy. You can send your request to my Facebook, or anything that you wanted to look at the case study of Malaysia, or you wanted to compare the context of Malaysia and also India. I'm happy to share the work to all of you, no problem.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. before we end the session, I have an announcement for the audience. Like we'll be sending the feedback link to your respective mail IDs. Please do fill in the feedback forms, and once after filling those forms, we'll be sending you e-certificate within 15 days. And as we come to the last session and last day of the national workshop also, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all the participants for their active participation, and I thank all the resource person, Dr. Uma Shankar Pandey, Mr. Ashwin, Mr. Girish, Dr. Sadia, Shri Ake sir, Mr. Arjit, Mr. Prasad, and Mr. Gan Gupta sir, Dr. Sara Chinnaswamy, and all the resource person, for sharing their knowledge and shedding some light on how media can use artificial intelligence and machine learning. And I thank all the participants also. Meanwhile, I thank Organizing Secretary Professor Onkar Kakade, DST Curie Coordinator Professor Aziz Makandar, Workshop Coordinator Dr. Tahmina Kolar, and all the faculties, media personnel, students, participants on Google Meet, and people who were watching this live session on the Akka TV channel also. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to one and all for making this national workshop a grand success. Thank you, everyone. Professor Onkar Kakade, sir, do you have any few words to say for the resource person? You're there, sir? Aziz, sir? Well, we'll end this session here. Thank you, everyone, for your valuable time and for your active participation. Thank you all.
Sorry, ma'am. Where we will get the feedback form? Can you repeat?
We'll be sending to your email IDs, madam.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.